Welcome to Testimony, a musician story. Heard at testimonystories.com and narrated by myself, Brown Theory, the music lover constantly seeking positive music. Let's get started.
I'm gon' worship until I pass out. See, I came to worship until I pass out.
Worship me with your life, that's what Jesus said. And he broke his body just so I could eat, yeah, he's my bread. Started on my feet, now I'm on my knees instead. And I'm about to lose control, like Uncle Reese's dreads. Hit by the Holy Ghost, black out like a comatose. See some take their own approach, no not me, I overdose. Feeling sick, worship is my antidote. So I go hard in the paint like Michelangelo.
Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Uncle Reece's Testimony, a musician story. Fans have been jamming out to his hit single Until I Pass Out for a couple of years. Now, they have an entire album to worship until they pass out to, entitled Bold.
Cut for God, we ain't grow up in the church. I watch my family struggle to this day, I see the hurt. Full of pride, lost soul, steady running. Felt God wasn't for me. Couldn't be taking everything from me. Back to the wall, somehow I blew it all. When you realize you're dying to sin, who can you call? I'm barely making do, but I gained so much in Christ now. Worship with my life now. Welcome to the lifestyle. Lord, I worship you till I pass out.
It's called Bold because, like, if you look at, like, my whole Christian life, my whole Christian walk, it's been bold. You know, even before I was saved, my life before salvation was bold. When I wanted to do something, I did it. You know, when I wanted something, I went for it. And I wasn't so concerned about being liked or any of those things. I just went for it. So even the fact that you hear how, you know, without Jesus I suck, I remember when I first started that company, like, I had people, like, trying to crucify me, man, because it was a very bold shirt at the time. We're talking about, like, '07, worship until I pass out. Going into a culture that's dead and you know, dancing like you're 2 years old, that's boldness, you know. Even the message, the stuff that I'm saying on the album is very bold. A lot of songs focus on the heart on my album, and that's really bold because, you know, when people come to concerts, they don't really come to concerts to hear about that. So, you know, I know how to make people jump. I know how to make people get live. You know, I know how to do all that. But my approach in this industry is a very bold one because, I mean, I don't agree with the industry. I don't agree with the game. I don't agree with the way it is, and I'm very vocal about that.
Uncle Reece isn't afraid to speak his mind, nor showcase his talents. Listeners can find him singing and rapping on the album. He will also be accompanied by his God brothers, the producing team Trump Boys, who have worked with mainstream artists like T-Pain and Bobby Valentino.
Elegant with intelligence, I am the evidence of natural hip-hop eloquence. The path is narrow, but I soldier march a straight line. He turned water to wine, I knew you heard that through the grapevine. People say I'm never gonna blow, but I don't accept it because that ain't even my goal. I'd rather be the voice of a believer, while you try to get respect by steady puffing on a reefer. You ignore the lowercase.
They knew me before I was saved, and we went different paths. And they pretty much hit me up, you know, in November, just a call out the blue, like, you know, We done been doing music for T-Pain, all these people. Like, they in the game for real. But they said, bro, we need to do something for the Lord. My life is just so jacked up. I need to give something to God. Can I please produce your album? And that's how it went down. It's another thing about the music. I've seen it change their hearts and their lives. And so I know what the music does because it changes them. So that's why it's such a beautiful album. If you listen to it, it'll do something to your heart, for real.
Walking on the straight and narrow. Tears shoot from my eyes like a faithful arrow. Say my prayers, walking on the straight and narrow. 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 Walking on the straight and narrow.
Put me on the front line through the blood, sweat, and tears. Fighting for souls, it is what it is. This is my life. Oh, this is not an event. This is everyday living. Straight and narrow is the army. I'm a territory. Get up. This is my life. Oh, this is my life.
Like what you're hearing so far? Check us out at testimonystories.com.
That's testimony stories with an S.com.
Where you can hear content for you and about you. Everyone has a testimony. Everyone has a testimony. And we want to hear yours. Tell us how God has transformed your life. Each month, we will select a person to highlight and interview. Find out more at testimonystories.com.
Testimony.
A musician's story. Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
The album is full of eclectic-sounding songs, some a little different than what listeners may expect to hear from him. The song Creation is one of them.
As I witness the stars illuminate the night and feel the warmth of the morning sunlight, while the rhythm of the rain beating on my window pane, how it calms my strife. And you created my lady, so amazing, and she's everything I like. Creation says you're alive.
I used to go to the rooftop. I met this white boy. His name was Justin, and I lost track of him. I don't know where he's at. He fell off the face of the earth. He wasn't saved, but he just loved nature, and he would be up there every Wednesday. I know he's going to be up there at 9 o'clock. So Wednesdays, I'll be up there worshiping, and he's up there. So he was up there. He looks at the stars. So when I'm playing my hill song and I'm worshiping, he comes over there. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm worshiping my God, bro. He's like, oh, that's so beautiful. I'm going to worship with you, man. And, he was just listening. He was just worship with me. He don't believe in God, but it was just, he was just like, I'm not worshiping God, but I'm just, your energy is so crazy, blah, 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 blah. And he would tell me stuff about nature and the creation that I was like, dude, the exact same thing you said is in the book of Psalms. He's like, the book of Psalms? What's that? Like, that's how much of a Christian he ain't. So I would take him through the scriptures, and I would repeat to him exactly what he said. I'm like, David said the same thing about the stars, about, and it blew his mind so much that he would want to read the Psalms, and this dude would be screaming the Psalms to the top of his lungs. I don't know what this dude on acid or nothing, but he was the most amazing person I met in college. And just so high on life. And you know, he ended up giving his life to God after probably like 2 months of meeting me up there. And it was crazy. He got saved because of the fact that he couldn't deny the existence of God by what he saw. So creation really goes from that point to say, listen, creation says that he's alive.
Oh, creation says you're real. Creation says you're real. Oh, yeah. The smartest genius will never reveal. They will never be revealed to me. Logic sounds crazy that an accidental bang made me and everything else in the galaxy. To me, this sounds like a fallacy. Explain summer, winter, spring, and fall. Explain oceans, rivers, waterfalls. Explain billions of people on the planet. How we got here, I don't understand it. In my heart, I know there is a creator, and we're all connected to the beautiful life. Creation says you're alive. Creation says you're real. Creation says you're real to me. Unanswered questions. The smartest genius will never reveal. Will never reveal. Creation says he's alive. Creation says he's alive. Let's go. I want to fly like them.
Earlier, Reece spoke about not totally being a fan of the music industry and how some people operate within it. The track Have Your Heart is based off of those feelings.
That song is saying, like, I don't really care what you do. If I don't have your heart, none of this stuff matters, you know. And I wrote that song because being in this industry, I meet people all the time that do everything that they're supposed to do, but I question if God even has their heart. I really question it. But in this industry, it's pretty much, if somebody can take it from you, they're going to take it, Christian or not. And another thing is, nobody in this industry is going to help you. And you just got to understand that and learn it. Like, you got to get it. If you don't get it for yourself, ain't nobody finna give it to you. Somebody might help you one time, but ain't nobody gonna take what you're doing and actually run with it to be a blessing to you for real. And if it does happen, it's rare.
Please understand me. I don't have your heart. Nothing that you do for me really matters to me at all. I don't have your heart. Nothing that you do for me really matters to me at all.
Testimony.
Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
Connect with Testimony, a musician story through social media. Find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more at testimonystories.com. A musician's story. So far, he has had some pretty interesting stories. So let's see what he has to say about the record, He Died and He Rose.
Oh, man, you're going to love this story. It's so deep. So I was at my grandma's house smoking crack, and I remember... No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just messing.
Okay. So, old boy got jokes, huh?
And as I inhaled the crack, something cracked in my brain. I'm like, Jesus died for me. Holly. And as the whip cracked his back, So I'm like, that's 3 cracks. 1 crack for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Okay, so let's try this again with the real story.
That song I actually wrote because I got some friends that ain't never going to read the Bible. Like, it just ain't going to happen. I actually got friends that can't read. Like, legit can't read, and they grown men. I tried to tutor one of my homeboys one time because, you know, he can't read. And I remember the frustration of just, and the anger and resentment and the bitterness in his heart from just trying to teach this man to read, and he gave up because he was like, man, forget about it, man. Like, I can't do this. And so for a man like that, so as I was dealing with him, I was like, you know what? There's certain friends of mine, they never going to read the Bible because they can't read. So I need to find a way to explain the story of what actually happened to Jesus, and I need to make it so vivid as the movie The Passion of Christ. Because my brothers, they'll listen to rap music. They ain't going to go watch Passion of the Christ. They're not going to read the Bible. So I'm going to rap how graphic this event was. I'm going to get this straight contextually out of the Bible, and then I had Bible scholars check out my story just to make sure everything was accurate.
Do they laugh? Do they not realize it hurts so bad that I hurt so sad? No, I'm not mad. I'm just glad to do the will of my dad. Dear Father, forgive them, they don't understand. It's the Roman men drive nails in my hand as they place my feet in one single line. Drop one long spike in his feet of mine with 2 thieves on my side as I'm crucified. One thief believes, but the other denies. Mama, please don't cry, wipe a tear from your eye. I'm about to die, but this is not goodbye. This is not goodbye. I'm about to die, but this is not goodbye. This is not goodbye. I'm about to die, but this is not goodbye.
He tells 3 other biblical stories in the song Joseph, Job, and David.
I got a coat of many colors. I endure the pain and I'm a warrior. Yeah. Conversation with the devil that I would turn my back on you. You let him try me so you can prove that I'm a good man, Lord. You can test me. Boils on my body and I lost my whole family. My friends don't understand me. They think I'm doing wrong, cause everything that can go wrong is going on. My old lady said that I should curse you and die, but I refuse to curse the God that did supply everything I have. You can't take the good without the bad. God is good even when my life is trash. I refuse to sin against you with the words I say. You took everything but didn't take my life away. Now I can say I was faithful because I endured.
I wanted to talk about pushing through and accomplishing your dreams no matter what. But I wanted to talk from the context of 3 men that were in the Bible who their dream directly correlated with God's will. And so the first verse I'm rapping as if I'm Joseph. Like, you know, the beginning I say I got to put him in colors, betrayed by 10 brothers, sold into slavery. God is so amazing. I'm second under Pharaoh where the Holy Spirit raised me. So
you saved me, and you gave me a peace of mind. 3 years prison time. Now I'm out here getting shine, lied on, cheated on, beat up and bruised. But I never gave up hope in you because you don't let me lose. I follow your rules. Could you prepare a place for me? Second under Pharaoh where no slaves should be. I saw 7 years of famine, made a plan to face it with enough preparation. I could save 2 nations and save my whole family. God, you have a plan for me.
I'm rapping as if I'm Joseph, and at the end of every verse, every person says something that is very profound. And I'll say the last 2 bars of every song is the only part in there that's not biblical, and it's my own interpretation.
Singing from a broken heart.
In the song Levar, yes, Levar, as in LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, he sings about what he has noticed happening in the Black community.
Levar told us to take our look, but my generation refused to open books and head to the rainbow.
to the rainbow, now we're left behind. Oh, so where do we find the light? Guide us to the stars. We've traded our destiny for money, liquor, and fast cars.
Like, it dawned on me what Bill Cosby had actually done for the African American culture. He came into the game and made a wholesome family comedy that showed a unit, like a successful unit that, you know, didn't beat their kids but raised their kids with stern. Like, it was kind of like the blueprint for the family, you know. And at the time, the world had never seen that. But, you know, a lot of people, they did it and it was corny, but he did it and it was like primetime television, and even had a spinoff called A Different World that showcased what HBCUs were. And I remember before that, I didn't even know what an HBCU was. I thought about what LeVar Burton really did. Like, this is a grown man dedicating his life to get people to read books. And I was like, man, I really wish I would have listened to this guy sooner. So it's about what happened to us as a people because we did not want to get wisdom and understanding.
So where do we find a way out of the darkness? My generation needs a door to walk in. Lord, save us from ourselves. If you don't rescue us, I don't see anybody else. 'Cause we got to get on our knees and say, God, please remove us from these things. Money, liquor, and fast cars. Take us to the stars. 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 Levar told us to take a look, but my generation refused to open books and head to the rainbow, to the rainbow. Now we're left behind.
Testimony.
Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
Everyone has a testimony, and we want to hear yours. Tell us how God has transformed your life. Each month, we will select a person to highlight and interview. Find out more at testimonystories.com.
Testimony.
Download the podcast of Testimony, a Musician Story on iTunes. Find out how at testimonystories.com.
A musician's story.
'Cause we go hard in the paint, hard in the paint. We go hard in the paint when we worship. Hard in the paint, hard in the paint. We go hard in the paint when we worship. Hard in the paint, hard in the paint. We go hard in the paint when we worship. Hard in the paint, hard in the paint. We go hard in the paint when we worship.
I ain't cut for God.
Uncle Reece explains what he wants listeners to walk away with after listening to his debut album, Bold.
I want people to get freedom, the same freedom that I have. By the time you listen to this album, I want it to free you. I want you to think for yourself as a Christian. because in Christianity, we are often shunned upon for being free thinkers, read the word for themselves and process it for themselves. And if you do that, you're always going to come to what God has for you. He won't have nothing for you that's outside of loving him and loving people. So you're safe in doing that.
I'm in the room writing songs, but I'm right where I belong, waiting on destiny to call on me, and I know it won't be long. I'm in the room writing songs, but I'm right where I belong, waiting on destiny to call on me, and I know it won't be long. Writing lyrics in the room, gazing at the mirror, staring. Faith is all I have while I'm struggling, living with my parents. It's apparent that I have no plan B. I abandon everything, music is my destiny, and I just need the faith to hold on to what I believe. I refuse to settle for scraps, I want everything. I'm planting like a tree until I make my move, filling up my notepad, sitting in this room until I make it to the studio.
We now know what Uncle Reece wants listeners to walk away with, but what does he want for himself?
But the main thing for me is, honestly, being at peace in my own mind. This cat's always running at your stuff. Like, every day, if somebody running at your money, running at your name, running at your stuff, you know, you got to get an attorney for your attorney in this business, you know? So you just become jaded with the fact that you can't trust nobody. But when you look at the word, the Bible clearly says to pray for those who despitefully use you. So for me, I'm working on really doing that in a real way. As long as the gospel gets out, then I could deal with the rest of the stuff. As long as the gospel gets out, let it be the Lord's. So I want that peace, you know, that comes from knowing that I did the will of God. And when I have that, and when I keep that, I'm good. I'd probably say that's next for me, having that personal peace and keeping that joint.
Writing songs till I take off like a rocket, and I'm good. Come on.
Thank you for listening to Testimony, a musician's story. This has been a Brown Theory production and an 83 Media production. To hear this episode again, as well as past episodes, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Brown Theory, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.
Doing these shows.